You are now watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you subscribe and check out the playlist.
I grew up hearing gunshots in the late night. Ghetto bird, police sirens as a mother cries. Just another victim of the Soundbrown genocide. Locals posted, locked and loaded, ready to take lives. And when they heard the chieflet, they would duck up out of sight. Like your car when the sundown, it was mission time. You had to stay alert, cause bullets always travel blind. We stayed posted, we stayed drinking, and we getting high. Marchando down the enemy's neighborhood as we ride. Put the hood, put the glica sample, fuck their side. No regrets, but the truth is no peace of mind.
G-File.
Now, starting off right here in Compton, you have the first neighborhood in Compton. This was the first Hispanic gang that was in Compton, making it the oldest neighborhood, been around since the 40s. You have La Familia Camacho, which is Compton Barrio 3. That's Compton Barrio 133rd Street, for the threes, they put tres, so it's CV3, Compton Barrio 3. This is the neighborhood in which the rapper Tres, the neighborhood in which he's from. And it is the first neighborhood, the original gang out of Compton. This neighborhood is large, is notorious. They're with the business, homie. You know what I mean? Even with everything that the city has thrown in it, it's still stronger than ever. I would have to say it is the largest neighborhood in Compton. You feel me? This neighborhood is just large. Before they used to run all of Compton. They were the only neighborhood there. As a matter of fact, they were so large and so old school that they even started Compton Barrio Largo, which everyone thinks it's the oldest gang in Compton. But as a matter of fact, it is not. It's Compton Barrio 3 because Compton Barrio 3 started Compton Barrio Largo. So that's what I was told. That's how deep they were before. You know what I mean? That because Largo's another large neighborhood. So just to give you guys an idea of how big Compton Barrio 3 was and how much they dominated. They're heavily rooted into the community. They have their riders, homie. You know what I mean? This neighborhood is one of the neighborhoods that's definitely well known around here. The neighborhood that was giving law enforcement a hard time. They're one of the most hated neighborhoods. And I would think, that's the reason why, because they are the originators out of Compton, the largest. So, they rule with an iron fist. So, all the sets around are not going to like that. You get what I mean? It's an ego-based driven game that we play. So, you know what I mean? You're going to get a lot of tensions, not only with that, but with the black neighborhoods around as well. But like I said, this neighborhood, I think they beef it with almost all of Compton. But like I said, Compton Barrio 3 is a neighborhood large enough to combat these enemies. You feel me? So they got the manpower. You know what I mean? But yeah, this neighborhood, like I said, is definitely with the business. They're a family structured neighborhood. You know what I mean? And their neighborhood is right there. What's on Rosecrans and Santa Fe on Compton on 133rd Street. Like I said, that's where they get the name Tres from. Kind of like Compton Barrio Cinco. Right? See, before 155th Street, these guys for 133rd Street, they write Tres, and that is the reason for that. You know what I mean? Oh, and here's another fun fact about Compton Barrio 3. It was actually originally started by women. It was a women gang. It was a chola neighborhood, and then they started recruiting guys into it. And now more, it's more men than women. I mean, they still have a lot of women, but it's more men than women. But it did start off as a female gang that transcended into what it is today. And I know people could criticize that and like to clown on that, but I met women in this game that are a lot downer than men, homie. That put in work, that dump, that they don't fuck around, homie. You know what I mean? So people could try to clown on Chola and everything like that, but there's women that have bigger balls than men in this game. I seen it for myself. Women are not playing, homie. They'll smoke your ass too, homie. You know what I mean? But that's what's up with Compton Barrio 3 right there, representing and holding it down for theirs. Another neighborhood that you find right here in Compton is the UDC neighborhood. UDC standing for Unos Delincuentes is what this neighborhood, translates to. Roughly more of a smaller neighborhood right here in Compton. They were one of these neighborhoods that was a tagging crew before that turned into a neighborhood. You feel me? So they roughly always been a small neighborhood. I was told that roughly less than 80 members. So more one of the more smaller neighborhoods in this area, but nonetheless, homie, UDC still be right there representing and holding it down for theirs. You know what I mean? Few in numbers. That's roughly why you don't see it up as much as some of these other neighborhoods. But nonetheless, homie, they still be lurking around and still be putting it down for their barrio and representing theirs. But that's what's up with the UDC neighborhood, unos delincuentes. Another large neighborhood that you have right here in Compton is the Barrio Pobre. Now, Pobre is located in Long Beach. That was the original, zone and home place. But Compton, Barrio Pobre, is a neighborhood that's spread out through different cities. It's one of those neighborhoods that spread like wildfire. You know what I mean? Because you can find them in Linwood, you can find them in Compton, South Central, you can find them upstate, you can find them in Anaheim, you can find them you can find them throughout all of California. You know what I mean? And in other states. This is a neighborhood that's it just spread, vastly. Because it's an old school neighborhood, been around since the 70s, early 70s, so like late 60s, early 70s. You know what I mean? And it's a large neighborhood because it's one whole neighborhood, you know what I mean? So as a whole, it's a big size neighborhood, and these guys are definitely with the business, homie. They definitely put it down, homie. These guys are not playing. And right there in Compton is another area in which you can find them representing it and holding it down for theirs, homie. And best believe, homie, that Barrio Pobre handles their business. You know what I mean? These guys definitely pushover. Shout out to WED, shout out to Crook from Barrio Pobre, holding it down right there and representing for theirs right there, my boy. But yeah, that's what's up with the Pobre gang. Another neighborhood that you have right here in Compton is the Varrio WEC. Now, WEC stands for Whatever's Clever. Now, Whatever's Clever used to be a tagging crew before, a tag banging crew before. It used to stand for Wrecking Every City. We are crazier. It had a few different meanings. They used to bomb on the freeways a lot and stuff like that. They were around in the late 80s, early 90s, and then it transitioned into a neighborhood. You know what I mean? It turned into a neighborhood roughly around the late 90s, early 2000s. Now it stands for Varrio, Whatever's Clever. Is what this neighborhood now, abbreviation stand for. And they were always roughly a smaller neighborhood, large for a tag banging crew, but smaller for a neighborhood. But they're still around, holding it down right there in Compton, the city they represent, and putting theirs on the map. Another neighborhood that you have right here is the DTW. Now, DTW is a neighborhood that's located in Boyle Heights and also in Compton. Compton is the original spot in which they started from. Then they ended up moving to the east side right there in Boyle Heights. Now, this used to be a tagging crew before. Down to Right is what it stood for. And DTW is one of these neighborhoods that definitely puts it down. You definitely hear about these guys. You know what I mean? Now stands for Down Tiny Wickets. Is the name of this neighborhood. And like I said, they may be smaller because they were a tag bang crew that was started roughly in the late 90s, early 2000s. I can't confirm if it's a 1-3, but that's what they say. That's what they put. And they be holding it down right there in Compton. You feel me? Don't ever get it confused. These guys will put it down. I have a homie from right here. You know what I mean? Shout out to Risky, Little Wedo from TTW. And shout out to all the homies that be putting it down right there from TTW. Another neighborhood that we have right here is Compton Barrio Los Padrinos. Compton Barrio Los Padrinos, CBLP, is an old school neighborhood. Has been established right here since the 80s. Now, this neighborhood, people do criticize saying if they originated from Linwood or from Compton. Now, they originated out of Linwood since the 80s. They were right there located in the Linwood Palms apartmentplex. Hence why they have the Clica Palmeros. It's because of that apartmentplex. That is the name of that apartmentplex. But this neighborhood originated out of Linwood, but they did have a lot of members that lived in the Compton area. So in the beginning it was just BLP. But then when most of their homies staying in Compton, living in Compton and such, they decided to establish as Compton Barrio Los Padrinos. And for those who don't know, Compton Barrio Los Padrinos translates to Godfathers. So that's why sometimes you do see it up as GFS, as Godfathers. because that's what Padrinos translates to. Um, but yeah, this neighborhood has, been in Compton for a cool minute. Like I said in the beginning, they may have started in Linwood, but most of their members stayed in Compton. Hence, why they put Compton Barrio Los Padrinos. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're in Compton, they're established. That's what they write. That's what they put. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? People can say whatever they want, but I mean, that's just what it is. It's roughly a large neighborhood. You know what I mean? They did have a large presence and size, and you could find them in both locations, Linwood and Compton, since both cities are right next to each other. Borderline right there. You know what I mean? But yeah, they're definitely with the business, homie. They got the writers. They be doing things, homie. Shout out to the homie Monster from Padrinos. You know what I mean? Firme camarada. Shout out to Blanco. And shout out to all the homies from Los Padrinos that be doing the thing right there, representing it and holding it down.